Hi, welcome to Just Common Sense. My name's Brian Harrison. And hey, guys, I got Jerry on the line again tonight. Say hi, Jerry.
Hi, Jerry.
And that's the way he always is. He's always about himself. We know that. Isn't that right, Jerry?
Absolutely, man. Nobody loves me more than me.
I'm always about me, right? No, I am not. I am about the people of this country and what's going on, and so is Jerry. We want to go ahead and stand for what's going on in this country. We stand for the people. We stand for this country. We don't stand for ourselves at all. As always, I'm going to run out there in 2024. I'm actually going to be working for you guys, and that is my job. I am the employee. You are my employers. That's the way it should be, and public servants are only in office for term limits. I've said it. And that's the one thing that I stand behind. What's your thought on that, Jerry?
I totally agree. I think term limits is probably the one thing that will save our country if we can get them in place, because the way things are going right now with these career politicians, they don't give a rat's behind about you, me, the country, or anything like that. All they care about is staying in office. And
Correct.
term limits is what we need.
Correct. And especially the radical left and some of the radical right. We've seen that up there. We see right where their lips are moving, but they're not. They can talk the talk, but not walk the walk. And I've said this many, 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 many times on this show. So
Yeah, but even if they're not radical, some of them, like Mitch McConnell, been there way too long.
absolutely. Absolutely. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. I mean,
Yep.
we could go down this list for a long, long, long time, I'm sure. And we've already talked about term limits. I've talked about what I believe. Jerry may have a little bit of difference in opinion on that. I'm not sure. I keep saying, obviously, 8 years for the president, 4 and 4. We know how that works. I say 12 years for the Senate and House. And I say probably 15, 16 years for the Supreme Court. That's my opinion on it.
Yep. I mean, as far as the number of years, I just think we need to make it far short of any kind of qualification for retirement.
Correct.
So like the numbers you're saying would do that.
Right.
And I agree with you on the Supreme Court thing. I think that what we've done is we've taken these people and put them in the Supreme Court and told them that they have a lifetime job. So now they don't really care what they do because they're never
Right.
going to be held accountable in any way.
Correct.
And so, they just go in there and what's really crazy is, even though, sometimes the justices on the right, they do, maybe,
Sure.
adjudicate, with their ideology, but the left does it all the time. And I mean,
Right.
they have an agenda and they do the agenda and they don't really follow the Constitution. They
That's
just go with
true.
the agenda.
That's true. And that's the point. That's what this book is about in my hand. This is the Constitution of the United States. This is simple. It's not much of a read. It's right there. I carry it around all the time. Jerry carries it. Know everything in it. Guys, don't listen to what people tell you. Pick this up, read it, learn the facts. Don't listen to what the news media tells you, especially the news media. Friends tell you because they think they know what they're talking about when they don't. And especially the politicians, because a lot of them don't. A lot of them don't even know this book. And some of them do know it, but you know what? This is the way they look at it. They look at it and say, law of the land. They throw it away. They don't care. They don't care. And
Yeah, a lot of
that's
politicians
the
use
problem.
the
Yeah.
Constitution like a lot of people use the Bible.
Right.
They go and they find a one-liner, or they find, one paragraph that supports their point or something like that, and they take it out of context. And,
Correct.
and I see people do that with, the Bible sometimes, and it
Sure.
frustrates me because they'll, oh, well, the Bible says, and it's like, yeah, but did you read
Yeah.
the, 5 or 6 verses before that and the 5 or 6 after that to put it in context? Well, no. And
Correct.
it's like, and then they do the same thing with the Constitution. They'll go in and find one line or one word, or even worse yet, they'll find something in the Constitution or the Bill of Rights, but they won't read the footnote at the bottom. It says it was later superseded by another amendment, or it was
Right.
repealed, or something like that. So,
Right. And that's a big problem right there because people don't read. They don't study. I've said that on this show many, 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 many times about learning it yourself and not going out there from what people are telling you.
Yep.
Oh, the Second Amendment. Oh, well, here's what they say. The Second Amendment. What's the Second Amendment about? Jerry and I will go into that in a minute. We've talked about this before. But first thing people say, well, it's about guns. Okay, what about guns? It's about guns.
They're necessary,
Right.
and the right to own them shall not be infringed.
Correct. Go on, Jerry. Jerry loves talking about this because Jerry knows it like I do. Go for it.
Well, no, that's what I tell people. Like,
Yep.
well, the one thing is the Second Amendment,
Yep.
mentions that a well-regulated militia is necessary to the safety and security of our state.
Correct.
And so therefore, militia, when the Constitution was written, the militia would be called up by the local government to, basically supplement the army or to sometimes even be the army for that local area.
Right.
Well, to be in a militia, you had to be armed. Well, instead of the community buying arms that just sat there and didn't do anything, each person that wanted to be in the militia had to have their own firearm. They had to have their own ammunition.
Correct.
And they had to have certain other supplies, like a, canteen and a backpack and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, those are things that you had to have to be in the militia. And so therefore, if a militia was ever called for again in our country, people would need to have the arms and the ammunition and the other things to join the militia.
Right.
And so everybody thinks the Second Amendment saying that you have to be in a militia to own a gun. No. Owning a gun is like an entry level qualification for joining a militia.
Right. And we're not saying go out there and get crazy with guns because you know how we feel. We've talked about guns on the show before. Yes, we believe in doing things legally and right with guns. We believe in protecting your home and your family with guns. If you have to, something we don't condone. As far as shooting people, no, we don't want to see that. No one wants to see that. I would never want to see somebody break in my house and have to defend myself because I don't want to ever be in that position. But if I'm in that position, yes, I am going to protect myself or anybody, I'm around. And that's basically where I'm at with it now.
Well, I don't want to ever be in that position either, but if anybody ever puts me in that position, I guarantee I'll be the one telling the story afterwards.
Right. If it's, yeah, exactly. And we're hearing it a lot out of different states right now. Florida, it's talked about it. A lot of sheriffs down there have talked about it, about protecting your house and doing things right. And that's been going on in Texas, another place. Some people here in North Carolina, there's some sheriffs. Donnie Harrison, by the way, guys, he's running locally here in North Carolina. I'm going to do a segment about him tomorrow. So there'll be a podcast about him tomorrow, and I'm going to bring all that up. So we'll be talking about that. I know Donnie Harrison told me he might want to talk on the show. I'm going to send this out and see when he wants to do that. We'll see what we can do with that.
Yeah, I think I caught him off guard recently when we were getting our picture taken. He went to put his hand on my back, and when his hand went on my back, he felt the piece I was carrying on my back, and he's like, "Oh, you do carry all the time." You bet.
Guys, and I'm going to tell you something. I hear it from people all the time when you see somebody walking around with the gun on their side. I look at them and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you got a gun!" That's their choice. We got open carry in this state. That's their choice. Now, that being said, I see people going, "Oh my gosh, I'm freaking out over it." You know what I'm freaked out? I'm freaking out over the ones that are carrying guns that are concealed that aren't doing it legally. That's the ones I'm freaking out over, the ones you don't see that are doing it illegally. In this state, you have to have concealed and carry, and most of the states here in the South and other places, most of the country allows concealed and carry, except for a lot of the Democrat states who have the highest crimes going on right now, which is 100% a fact.
Well, and I'll tell you something else that's ironic because I happen to be sitting in one of those states right now. I'm in Connecticut at the moment.
Oh, yeah. You're up there. I forgot.
What's really funny is some of the firearms I own, actually a large number of the firearms that I own, were made in states where people either can't own what they manufacture themselves, or it's so difficult they don't even bother trying to own them. Like I've got a couple that were made in Massachusetts, and most of the people in Massachusetts can't own the very firearms that they make there. I've got some that were made here in Connecticut, from Ruger, And, my Rugers that were made here in Connecticut, either are not allowed to be owned or they're so difficult to own that a lot of people don't even bother
Right.
buying them. My most recent one, handgun
Mm-hmm.
made in Yonkers, New York. Yeah, good luck trying to get a concealed carry permit in Yonkers, New York.
Yep.
Purchasing a firearm. My friend Claudio was purchasing a pistol a couple of years ago,
Right.
and he lives in New York. And it took him 6 months just to purchase the pistol. And
Right.
so I asked him about getting a concealed carry permit. And he was like, "Yeah, forget that, man." He goes, "It's not even worth it."
Yeah.
And it's like, it took him 6 months just to buy one. And it's like, and here's a guy that he does want it for home protection, but in
Sure.
addition to that, he does travel through certain areas
Right.
that are not as safe. And the reason he
Right.
does that is because it would add quite a bit of time to his commute to and from work if he tried to go around all that.
Okay.
And
True.
it took him 6 months just to buy one.
Yes. It's
So
absolutely
that's the
crazy.
irony. A lot of these states, they're manufactured here,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't even own it or purchase it, in the very state that you made it in.
Yeah, makes sense out of that, guys. And the funny part is, you're sitting here, some of you on the left out there going, oh my gosh, they are all into guns. Oh my gosh, they're crazy people. No, we're not. Honestly, we like to go out and target practice, and that's what we do. We don't go out and thinking crazy thoughts like some people out there, obviously, that are carrying guns in these radical states. A lot of them are run by the left up there, where the crimes are high right now. Oh well, we ban guns. Well, where are they getting their guns from, guys? Where? In those states, where are they getting their guns from? They're getting them illegal. They're not going to buy them legal. They're not. They're not going to do the right thing. It's absolutely crazy. Oh, let's ban ghost guns. We've talked about that. Jerry's got some guns that, when you go back years ago, they didn't have serial numbers, some of them. And that's the fact. I mean, that's the way it is. And,
Yeah, I'm not doing
I'm not,
anything wrong, and I'm
no,
not trying to sneak anything by, but they were just
no.
manufactured before serial numbers were on
Right. You got antiques out there that are like
them.
that. Absolutely. And you look at this stuff right now and you see these people just, it's the gun's fault. No, it's the crazy person's fault. Yuri and I have talked about this before. We've talked about, and I 100%, because, I'm running in 24. So here's where I'm at with this. I'll say it again. I think for anybody getting a pistol, a rifle, anything, should go to a 2-day class minimum of gun safety and how to handle and operate that gun. I don't care if your father, mother, or whomever taught you how to operate that gun. To purchase a gun, I should say, you need to have these 2 classes. That's one of the main things. Because guess what? Then you learn the proper and right way. Well, my father and my mother taught me the right way. Probably. But again, it's always good to learn more about it, because you're protecting yourself and you're protecting people around you when you're out there shooting at the range. That's my feelings, and that's the way I'm going to stand by that. And then I think you should go to the sheriff's office, get your gun permit, rifle permit, whatever the case may be. Mainly the pistol permit's what I'm really after. And a lot of people say, well, I hunt. Well, I get that. That's fine. You should still have a class, regardless. I think you should have 2-day class. What's your thoughts on that, Jerry?
Yeah, I would agree. I think training is very, very important, but I'd have to really dig in to see what would have to be in this class, and should it be a requirement or just a strong recommendation? Because again, when you go back to the Second Amendment, it says the right to keep and bear
Right.
arms shall not be infringed.
I get
And
that. I get that.
if you read into that, too, that's
Yeah.
people that are legally allowed to own them. You get somebody who's a violent felon, yeah, that person doesn't need to be owning a firearm. I mean, and I don't think that person should be protected by the Second Amendment.
Right.
Somebody that's a domestic abuser, I'm okay with restricting them from owning firearms. I believe in training. As a matter of
Right.
fact, as you know, I train people on
Yeah.
the side for free. I don't even charge for it.
Sure.
And, so the thing is, I'm a strong proponent of training.
And
And, it's just,
yeah,
I'd have to really think about,
how the class
making
is
it
going to be.
mandatory.
Yeah.
But, but I'm a strong proponent of training.
Right.
And I will tell you, I think you're nuts if you don't get some sort of training.
Right.
If you do walk into a store and you just buy one and then go home and say, oh, yeah, just bought a new shotgun, and if somebody comes into my house, you know what? If you don't go practice with it, if you don't go learn how it works, if you don't do some
Right.
sort of training with it, then there's a very good likelihood that you're not going to be able to use it
Right.
properly, and then it can get used back against you.
Correct. And there are different laws in each state. And obviously, when you look at it for people that are concealed and carry, I recently found out if you go from North Carolina to Tennessee, I believe it was, or no, maybe it was Virginia, you can only carry 20 rounds instead of 21 rounds. So these are the things you need to learn when you're traveling state to state if you have concealed and carry. Very
Yeah, I
important to
try
know
and stay
this.
up with the states I'm going to see, when I go, what I can
Right.
do, and what I can carry, and things like that.
Right. Well, I actually have a attorney. I forget the Legal Shield, I believe it's called. I have to look at
Mhm.
it. That actually I pay for every year, and I do. I pay for this group, and they'll tell me. I'm saying, okay, I'm going to go to this state. What can I do? I need to go to this state. What can I do? And they'll tell you and what you can carry, what you can't, what you can, have in your arsenal. As far as I don't use the word arsenal, everybody goes, "Oh my God, he's carrying a bunch." No, I carry him 1 to 2 max if I'm doing that. But the one thing that I'm going to say is when you're doing that, just do it legal and right. And to have something like that, if you do have concealed and carry, or if you just open carry, you do this and have that because you're learning more about it. And at the same time, you're protected in case something does happen. Because obviously, if you are defending yourself, you're probably going to be arrested anyway. It's just what they do. And then they may let you go, but they still have to do certain procedures to go through this. And then you have this card and say, okay, I got to call these guys and just do it right. Just do it legally. And be nice to everybody, if anything crazy happens like that. Hopefully, none of us ever want to see it. Never want to be in that position. I just like going out and target practice.
I agree.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. It's stress relief. It's, I just enjoy it. And, so, it's really funny because so many people, oh, like you said earlier, they think you're some sort of whack job because you own a
Right.
gun. It's like, my personal opinion is I feel that I'm a lot more sane than a lot of the people that
Yeah.
have an irrational fear of guns. And, the irrational fear of guns comes to something you said earlier, where people talk about, guns and how dangerous they are. The guns are no different than a screwdriver or a hammer or,
Right.
a pair of pliers. It's a tool. And if it's just sitting there by itself, it's not going to go off.
Right.
It needs to have interaction. And that interaction may be, a person picking it up, an animal playing with it, doing whatever. I mean, it's like, because the interaction is not always going to be positive.
Right.
A gun itself is nothing more than an inanimate object and a tool, and
Right.
it needs interaction. So, as far as, are guns dangerous? If properly used, you bet.
Yeah. Or if properly not used, they're dangerous too, because let's look at the tools thing you just brought up. How many of us have grabbed a hammer because you didn't get training right, and all of a sudden you're bang, oh, and next thing you have a bruised thumbnail.
Yeah,
Huh?
exactly.
Yeah. That's where Jerry and I've talked about going in there, getting proper training. I still say 2 days, not a full day, but 2 days in a class just to go and get it for safety. That's the main thing. Learning how to operate it, shooting more than one caliber of gun, because I would say shoot a 22 all the way up to at least a 9mm and go that far, maybe a 45, but maybe something in that area. And then you learn the recoil, the differences, and what would be comfortable for you. Don't go in there and say, well, I'm just going to buy the biggest gun because it's the most powerful. Guess what? You may have bought something like that and you realize, oh my gosh, I can't even shoot this thing.
That's our culture, though. It's like somebody
I
sees
know it
something
is.
on a television show and or a movie or something like that, and they go, "Oh, that was so cool!" Like there
Yeah.
was this one company back in the 1980s, I think it was,
Yeah.
and they made a quality firearm. I mean, it's like they were a high quality firearm, but the majority of the public didn't ever even know what this company was until the movie Terminator came out. And then Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he walks into the gun store, as the
Yeah.
Terminator, and starts talking about it, and then he points over to the case. And he goes, "I'll take the Daytonix long slide 45." And it's like all of a sudden Daytonics is on the map, you know.
Right.
And like I said, they made a quality firearm, and
Yeah.
it's like, but nobody that wasn't a firearms enthusiast knew about them really. But
Yeah.
all of a sudden, you had people running into gun stores. Oh, I want a Daytonics,
It's
and it's like
crazy.
because and it might have been too big of a caliber for a lot of people, but Arnold had one, you know.
Right. Yeah, Arnold had
But
one.
that's to your point, you know. I mean, all these people, you know, they see one on TV or in a movie or something, and they go buy the wrong one. That you should try different ones out, and you
Right.
know, and that's a very wise admonition to tell people. You know, it's like, you know,
Yeah.
hey, go out there, you know, try different things, find what you're comfortable with. You know,
Yeah.
because what you don't want is to be scared to use it if you ever have to.
Exactly. And I mean, when it comes down to it, guys, I mean, you could do pretty bit, I mean, pretty much damage with the 22 versus a 44 Magnum. I mean, let's just be honest. It just depends how good of a shot you are and everything else. Now,
Yep.
again, it's fun for target practice. That's where we're going to go with this, and that's pretty much where we want to keep it at. Again, gun safety is very important. We were going to talk about a whole nother subject tonight, and I don't know why we got on gun safety tonight. Oh, I know why. Because go for it, Jerry. You already heard about it. That's where it started. Because of
Oh
what
yeah,
they were trying to do with,
yeah.
yeah,
They're trying to pass. There were certain states
yeah,
that had tried to pass legislation to change the age to purchase firearms. Because
right.
right now, you know, for anybody listening that's not aware, I'll run over this
Go
real
ahead.
quick. If you want to purchase a firearm, a what I call a long gun, you know, a shotgun or
Sure,
rifle, you
sure,
know, something like that, something that's less likely to try and be concealed. Uh, Long guns right now, the legal age to purchase in the United States is 18.
yeah,
So if you want to purchase a shotgun, you can purchase at 18. You want to purchase a rifle, you can purchase it at 18. Handguns, because of the ability to conceal handguns,
right,
you have to be 21 to
right,
purchase a handgun.
sure,
And so what some states were trying to do was to make it 21 for all firearms. And so the reason they were trying to make it 21 for all firearms is, you know, I want to say it was right after the thing in Kenosha, Wisconsin with Kyle Rittenhouse.
yeah,
And then so they wanted to try and make it 21 for all firearms. Well, the courts, I don't remember which court it got to, if it was one of the circuit courts or whatever, but whichever court it got to, they ruled it unconstitutional and said, nope, you can't do that.
yeah. Nope. So that
And,
got
and,
shot
and, you
down
know, even
because a
though I'm
lot
a
of
big fan of the Second Amendment,
right,
I also believe that, you know, common sense needs to be used. And so
absolutely,
even though it says the right to purchase, you know, to have and bear arms is
right.
protected, I also believe that that means for an adult, you know, I mean, not for, you know, some 9-year-old kid, you know, to
No,
be able to walk into a store and, you know, buy a gun and walk around with it. No, I mean,
no
there's
way.
certain things that we put age limits on, like driver's license, drinking alcohol,
Sure.
purchasing firearms,
Yeah,
you know, things like that. You know,
yeah,
signing a legal contract. You know, you got to be at
yeah.
least 18 to sign a legal contract. And,
Right. Like when I
you
was a
know,
kid, I grew up on a farm and I grew up in the city. So I'm kind of I call myself a hybrid. I'm a city boy and country boy at the same time. So I get along with everybody. But no, growing up in the country and having horses and all that, we've talked about that before. I actually shot at a very young age because my father was in the Marines, he's a police officer, and he took me out to shoot for gun safety. And at that point, I knew what it was about. So when they weren't back in those days, they didn't have safes and all like they do now. But I knew to stay away from it when I was alone, and just when I was with my father, I was fine. It took that somebody saying, no, don't touch that. No, don't touch it when you're a kid. And all of a sudden, guess what? You're going to touch it when they're not around. You know where I'm going with that, guys. So
yeah,
if you
absolutely.
show
The
them that,
forbidden fruit concept.
yeah, if you show them that, then you're pulling all that away, saying, okay, I know what that's about. Not even worried about it. I know I just don't need to touch it. I've already shot it. I understand. I understand gun safety. And that's what we're talking about here. Now, I think I was probably around 10, 12, somewhere in that area. But it was like a small caliber. It's 22, things like that.
Well,
Little
but one
rifle. I still
important
have
thing
that
going
rifle.
on with what you're saying, though, you know, something that's very important to add is
Go ahead.
even though you were allowed to shoot them, they were your father's firearms.
Correct.
And, you know, like you and I are not advocating that children
No,
should be allowed to own them.
not at all.
That's it. But to be able to learn about them, to be able to shoot them, to, you know, I
All
mean,
right.
you know, I think that's very important because it takes away the irrational fear as people get older because then they realize what its capabilities are. They realize, that it's only dangerous if it's, improperly handled.
Right.
And when I say dangerous, I mean, other than unintended dangerous if you had to,
Right.
Defend yourself. But I mean, it's only, negligently dangerous if you're not taking care of it properly.
Right. Well, look at Alec
I see people that try and
Right.
do like a movie thing where they whip it out of a holster and spin it around on their finger, and I'm like, oh, that's really stupid.
Wait a minute, guys. He's reading my notes again. I was just going to start talking about Alec Baldwin. He's bringing up the movie stuff.
Oh my
guys,
gosh, Alec.
I only have this on my desk. That's it. And there's nothing else really on my desk, so I don't know where he's reading notes because you guys know I don't use notes. I don't. I talk straight from the hip. That's what I always say. So, where are my notes, Jerry? So, I was going to bring up Alec Baldwin, by the way. What's going on with that? Why hasn't that been exactly nothing? And he's all in the wrong for that.
Yeah, he's 100% guilty.
100%.
Because you should never point a gun. Well, one of the things that I was taught when I was younger, and I have taught people over time, is that you should never point a gun at something that you don't plan to destroy. And so, if he pointed the gun at that person, it's actually, I don't remember if it's a law or if it's just something they did in Hollywood, but you're not actually allowed to point a gun directly at somebody on camera.
I did not know that.
When you see somebody pointing a gun, it's usually pointed off to the side, and then the camera angle makes it look like it's pointed right at them.
Yeah, did not know
so
that.
I don't know if it's an industry thing or if it's an actual, FCC thing or something like that. But it's one of those things, and I think that's sage advice. And look what happened with Alec Baldwin.
Well, look at Brandon Lee.
Yeah, Brandon Lee. Well, also I don't remember the guy's name, but he was in the movie Scarface with Al Pacino. He played the sidekick.
Yeah.
Manny, I think was his name in the movie.
Right.
And he was on a movie set like 2 or 3 years after Scarface and actually accidentally shot himself with a blank gun, or it was a real gun that had blanks in it.
Yeah.
But he didn't realize that even blanks, that the force coming out of the blank can do damage to killing himself.
Yeah. You got to be gun safety. That's not what we're actually going to talk about tonight. Actually, we were going to talk about gas prices tonight and what's going on. We'll make that quick. This is going to be a short episode tonight anyway.
You're going to protect your gas in your car if it gets high enough.
Really? Hey, so guys, I will bring this up. Second subject we're going to talk about for a second, then we're done with our podcast tonight. It's a short one. So gas prices. Gas prices are going to go up. They've been going up. They're now in North Carolina, they're $4. You remember when he opened the reserves and it dropped it down, Jerry? And I've talked about this. It dropped gas prices down for a while. We also said they're going to go back up. Guess what? We're right, Jerry? Did we get an applause for that? Hold on. We got an applause for being right on something.
Yeah, but we should get a boo for what we're right about, though.
Do I really want to do that? Hold on.
Well, the applause
we
for
could
us
do.
I'm for that, but the reason that we're right, that's terrible.
Right. I'd rather do something else, though. Let's do it this way because Joe Biden said, I'm bringing down gas prices, and Joe Biden says, we're going to make sure they're going to stay down. Well, let's play for Joe Biden what's going on in his head. Hold on. This is Joe Biden's head. Not much in there but crickets, guys. That's pretty much it. So everybody's laughing on that one. Even some of you left are laughing on that one, and you're going into the mirror saying, oh my God, I actually voted for this guy. Look at my gas prices now. Look, I can't even get formula for my baby right now. That's what they're saying for people that have children. It's absolutely ridiculous what's going on.
Food prices are up. Clothing prices are up. Car prices are up.
Guess what?
Prices are up. Interest rates are going up.
Right. All right. Two things on that before I forget. There was two things I was going to bring up. Also, diesel's going way up right now. So guess what that means? It's going to cost truck drivers a lot more money to put fuel in that truck. Guess what? That's going to bring inflation up more because they're going to have to bring the cost of food up even more to cover that diesel. Common sense, guys. That's what this show's about. This is called studying, doing your research, and know what you're talking about. So that's another thing. And guys, one thing I'm going to throw out there, because we're starting to see houses go up. I'm going to bring something up just because I did mortgages many years ago, so I have a lot of knowledge about a lot of things when it comes to numbers and stuff when it comes to this, because I have my own financial background here too. But for those of you who actually have PMI, private mortgage insurance, okay, think about this. You guys who have mortgage on a house right now, and all of a sudden you're sitting in that position where you have PMI, go get your house reappraised, because when prices are doing what they're doing in most of the country, especially in the North Carolina area, go get your house reappraised. You might be able to get rid of that PMI because your house may value out differently now.
Yeah, because most PMIs are required if you don't have
20%.
At least 20% equity. So right now, with prices going up, if you were sitting at, basically only 10% a year ago, you might be sitting at 25% now.
Right.
Not because you paid that much down on your house, but just because the value of your home went up that much.
Correct. And I mean, I can do numbers. I can do all this stuff pretty much in my head like that. I'm pretty quick on that stuff, which I hated math when I was a kid. I can't understand that. That's because I do math all the time right now on numbers and stuff, and I'm always doing a lot of numbers, negotiating a variety of things, what I do in my world. But that's another story. We'll talk about that another time. So anyway, what's your thoughts on all that otherwise? I know I brought up a few things with diesel and all.
And, on the mortgage thing, well, see, diesel, I'm really frustrated with that because the diesel prices right now are a construct of the left and what I like to call the eco-terrorists. And see, when I was younger, and there's probably a lot of people listening to this call that when I say this, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember that we actually were working on a project in science class. I want to say it was like 10th or 11th grade or something like that, where we actually took some oil and, started heating up the oil to process the oil and, just in test tubes, not a big amount.
Right.
And so what happens is when they process oil or refine oil, I should call it.
Sure.
The first fuel grade that you get to, as far as what we use in internal combustion engines, is diesel. So since that's the first one you get to in the refining process, out of a barrel of oil, you get more diesel than any other level of gasoline. The higher the octane that you go to, the less that you get out. So by the time you get to premium unleaded, you get less premium unleaded out of one barrel of oil than you do diesel. So since you get more diesel per barrel of oil, it's the least expensive fuel to produce. But because the eco-terrorists on the left, want to cut back on the use of certain fossil fuels and everything like that, what they've done is they've taxed the daylights out of diesel. And so the reason diesel prices are so high is because of taxes. So what we're doing is our truck drivers, and actually I've got a couple of friends that have diesel cars. But our truck drivers and people that have diesel cars are being penalized because the other thing about diesel is not only is it the cheapest fuel to produce, but it also is very good on fuel economy, depending on the type of engine you have. Mm-hmm. So now you've got a fuel that costs less, that gives you better fuel economy. But because the eco-terrorists on the left, want to throw the taxes on it, now it's the most expensive gas out there. And right before I left for Connecticut this week, I believe I saw a pump that had over $5 a gallon for diesel.
Oh, I'm sure we're there now because we're already at I saw $4.40 today just for regular gas. Regular gas.
If you saw $4.40 for regular, you're definitely
diesel's higher.
Diesel, yeah.
I think diesel's probably $6 in some areas, if not higher than that. It's going way up. And guys, think about that when you're filling a semi up. How many? I think I saw $8,000 to $1,000. It was crazy.
Well, yeah, because I think it's semis have tanks that are a couple hundred gallons.
Right, and they burn quick. Those are big engines in those things. So you're thinking, oh, well, it's going to make it across the country. No, it's not. It is not. So there's a lot of fuel and a lot of burning that fuel in those
Brian,
type trucks.
You're watching my notes now because what I did is while we're talking, I used a very popular fuel app called Gas Buddy.
I got one on Jerry.
Yeah, I use Gas Buddy all the time when I'm looking for gas.
Yeah.
So what I did is I just pulled up Gas Buddy in the area where I am right now, and the cheapest diesel within the area where I am right now is $6.07 a gallon.
There you go. Hey, I'm right.
And it goes up to $6.59 at another station.
Yeah.
So, but $6.07 is the cheapest in the area where I am right now. So think about that. That's not inexpensive at all.
Yeah.
And regular is $4.09. So basically you're looking at about where I am right now. There's a $2 difference between regular unleaded and diesel.
Right. Hey, Biden, what's going on with that? What's going on with all this? Answer the questions. Oh, he's answering them all right. He's saying how great of a job he's doing. He's not.
Vladimir Putin had his bar mitzvah
oh, here we
when
go.
He was, 13. And, so looking back on that, diesel prices have gone up since then. That's a joke, but Vladimir Putin's not Jewish, so.
That's kind of funny. All right.
It's Trump's fault.
You what?
It's Trump's fault.
Everything's Trump's fault. Orange man bad.
Well, it's kind of funny because...
Oh, Trump's going to be back on Twitter if he accepts it. By the way, Elon Musk has now officially said that he will put Trump back on Twitter. I want to give Elon Musk a hands up and say applause on that. And you know why? Because you can't take freedom of speech away.
Nope.
And I'll say it. And that's what they were trying to do. The radical left does it. The news media does it. This becomes communism because they do this. And I'm going to say it that way. And if you guys think I'm crazy on this, you guys are not doing your homework and you're not that intelligent. Let me tell you. This is where it all starts. Some people call it socialism. I say socialism is communism.
Yeah, there's a very, very, very fine line, and
it's not
that
fine.
That line
there,
gets,
in my opinion.
That line gets crossed all the time when one of those political styles is put in place, and I think that socialist and communist countries bounce back and forth between socialism and communism a lot.
Right.
And neither one of them is good.
The line is so thin. Yeah, but the line's so thin. It's absolutely crazy. And it's used wherever the left wants to use it. Well, we could cross the line just a little bit. And that's called conditioning. Remember, I've said it. 1 step up, 1 step back. 2 steps up, 1 step back. 3 steps up. And eventually you get conditioned. It's like the people running around outside wearing their mask right now, all alone outside because they've been conditioned. They feel comfortable and safe with it because they've been wearing it so long. And now I've got to wear it outside. It's your choice to do that. I'm not going to make fun of you to your face if you're doing that. I may laugh on the side at it when you're driving in your car by yourself or you're running. I've seen people running with their mask on, out doing fitness. I understand they do have masks that are actually for that, but no, these are masks. Your blood mask, I call them, that really don't work. But anyway, what else, Jerry?
Yeah, I just wanted to throw something out there that you'll be amused by.
Here we go.
I got a friend of mine. He's a bit younger than us. I met him. I was friends with his dad, but he's in his 30s now, and he and I have kind of connected and. I was teaching him to shoot and, so we've become friends now, and he's a black guy. So, yes, everybody, I actually know a black guy and we're friends, I was like, so no, I'm not,
I don't know what that means. Cause you know how I am with color and
and it's like, but what's funny is,
racist at all.
He, at his age is, he's got a lot of friends that are very, very far left leaning. Mm-hmm. And so he's going to a birthday party this weekend,
right? And
some of the women are so politically oppressive. He calls them the femme waffen, as in like Nazis, because like that. So he was telling me he's going to this birthday party this year, or this week. And so he said, "What are your thoughts on that?" I was like, "Man, you know what my thoughts are?" I said, "You ought to just like make heads explode, man. You ought to get a rebel flag T-shirt and wear it to the
Oh my
party,
gosh.
okay, and be like the only black guy in the party, but wearing a rebel flag T-shirt." I said, because then what happens is they're going to address it because they can't not address it, and when they
Yeah.
do, you just need to have one simple response, no matter how many times they bring it up. Just your one simple response: "My body, my choice."
Wait a minute. That doesn't fly. Wait, he needs to be pushed with the vaccine because it's not his choice. Okay, that's one thing. What's the other thing? What are they doing right now? Oh, yeah, but we're okay to murder babies. That's another story. That's what they want. Oh,
But
gosh.
yeah, no, it's just so funny
It's gotten
because I mean, it's like
ridiculous.
in his age group, he's actually he tells me all the time about how some of his other friends will apologize to him for their white guilt and their privilege and everything like that, and how and he says, he looks at him and says, "What are you talking about?" I mean, are you kidding me? And it's like, and he said that it's so funny
Mm.
because all these people are, or not all of them, but some of them, I should say. I don't want to overplay this, but some of them are just they go in with the apologies of "Oh, I'm sorry that my privilege caused you to grow up
Mm.
without this or without that." He's like, "Are you kidding me? Have you met my parents? I grew up, middle class as middle class can be." And it's like, I mean, so I feel I was privileged, and it's like, so don't apologize to me.
Uh-huh. I had one of
But
my.
it's hilarious. But yeah, I'm still waiting on his response about the T-shirt thing, because I know he's gonna come back with something. He's gonna love that idea. Now, will he do it? Don't know. But I mean, I think that would be absolutely hilarious. And I would ask him to have his phone on when he does it, because I want to see it.
I had one of my friends years ago, and he was a black guy, and you know how I feel about using that word, but I like because I'm not white. If I were white, I'd look like the piece of paper that's, or if I were black, I'd be black, and nobody's white or black really when it comes down to it. But I told him once, I said, so yeah, I said to him, I said, but you're a black guy, and he goes, I'm black. What? I didn't know I was black. What? He was teasing me. He's going back and forth. I didn't know I was black. I said, we were just going back and forth. It was funny. And that just shows you I'm not prejudiced at all. And it was a lot of fun. And I've got a lot of friends that are of color, if you want to use it that way. Because obviously, if I were white, I don't have anything white on my desk, but I'd look like a piece of paper. Which is scary looking. But anyway, any other thoughts? Because we're about to end the show, guys.
No, that pretty much. Yeah, just to go back and briefly touch on what we were talking about with the
Okay.
Second Amendment earlier.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the things about the Second Amendment that people oftentimes don't realize, or even if they realize that they've forgotten it,
Right.
that the reason that the First Amendment can survive
Yes.
is because we have the Second Amendment. Because, right now you can see our government is trying to silence people. This new department in the government,
Oh,
I
gosh.
forget, I know it's not really called this, but the Ministry of Truth. I forget what it's called. It's like the
Yes.
Disinformation Board or something like that. And it's like, so they're trying to silence people. And so the First Amendment was written because it is probably the most important of the amendments, but the amendments aren't written in order of importance, they're written chronologically.
Yeah.
But the First Amendment probably is the First Amendment for a reason, because your right
Right.
to free speech is one of the most important rights that we have, if not the most important right that we have.
Right.
And, even though I know it says the right to free speech, the right to assemble
Right.
peaceably,
Sure.
redress grievances with governor, right to freedom of religion and all that. Well, to me, all of the other things that they mentioned below are just reiterating what free speech is.
Yeah.
The right to practice a religion, freedom of religion, that is free speech. And so free speech is the most, if not, one of the most, if not the most important of the amendments. But if we didn't have the Second Amendment, it
All
would
right.
be too easy for our government to suppress our First Amendment.
Right.
And so one of the reasons they've been unsuccessful in the past with suppressing the First Amendment is because they realize that the Second Amendment is there backing up the First Amendment.
And what's our lieutenant governor talk about?
Oh, yeah, that's where he got his claim to fame. That's where he, hit
Right.
the national radar, is his speech
Exactly.
at the city council meeting in Greensboro.
Exactly. And he is what? What is he? A man of color, we'll say? Is that what we're He's a great guy. He's just a human being like all of us. Like I said.
enjoy talking to him whenever I see him. He is
Right.
a great guy. His wife Yolanda is fantastic. I really like them both, and I feel fortunate not just that he's my lieutenant governor and that
Yes.
she's his wife, but also the fact that I've had the opportunity to meet them, to talk to them,
Right.
to interact with them, and
Yeah.
I just, they're fantastic people,
Right.
and he is passionate about what he does. And
Yes.
I got to tell you, the first time that I took my wife to see him in public,
Yes.
he was speaking at a Back the Blue rally, and he was on fire that day. And my wife just walked away like, wow, because this was
Yes.
before he actually was elected yet. And she was like, wow, that guy's awesome. I'm like, I've been telling you that,
Yes.
And so, he's fantastic. And the fact that he came to prominence and notoriety because of a speech about the Second Amendment.
Right.
And by the way, I'll give you a quick little fun fact about that. When he gave that speech, he believes in the Second Amendment. He gave that speech about
Yep.
how important the Second Amendment is. We shouldn't take. When he gave that speech, he didn't even own a firearm.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's like, and I found that out talking to him later, but he didn't even own a firearm, but he just believed in the Second Amendment, even though
Sure.
he didn't own one. And see,
Yeah,
that's how we
so-
all need
yeah.
to be, is when we look
Sure.
at laws, we look at
The
the
law.
Constitution and amendments and things like that. Okay, if I don't want to have a gun, that's fine, but I shouldn't take away somebody else's right to have one just because I don't want one.
Right. It's your choice.
Yeah.
And he's
it's
a
like,
very yeah.
I shouldn't. My next door neighbor shouldn't
Right.
not be allowed to have electric power because I want solar panels and they don't have them, so they shouldn't be allowed to have electric. I mean,
solar panels.
we've just gotten to that in our society where it's like, if you're not doing what I want, you shouldn't be allowed to do anything.
Right. Well, I mean, he's also a strong man of faith too.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. And God's very important. And I know some of you guys out there, it's your choice. If you want to be an atheist, I have no problem with that. But don't push it on the people of faith. Just like I say, people of faith, it's okay to plant a seed, but don't push it, because if you push it too much, you're going to push them away.
Yep.
That's called being radical. Oh, yeah, I played some music accidentally on my, that was pretty cool. So anyway, that was an accident. Maybe somebody had something to do with that. You'll have to hear that later. That was funny. After I said that, I bumped the button and it just played a whole new tune on my show. That was interesting. You'll hear that later, Jerry, because he can't hear that stuff over the intercom here, or over the mic here. Interesting. But guys, anyway, I'm just going to say it. We could go on with this podcast all night long, but we try to cut this thing down to a half an hour. It went over a half an hour tonight. We come up here and we say, what are we going to talk about? We're coming up with ideas. We always do this. And yet, here we go. This is going to be an odd one tonight. First Amendment, guns, Joe Biden, inflation, gas prices. I mean, where'd this go tonight? It went crazy.
It's an easy one, man. This one's guns and gas.
Guns and gas. Sounds like a country song.
Exactly.
Welcome to the South. That's funny.
Yeah, I heard a great thing that country
Yeah.
music's going to be affected by all the, the technology that's in cars now.
Yes.
And with self-driving cars come out, that what's likely to happen very soon is you're going to have a country song about a guy's truck leaving him.
That's funny. All right, guys. As always, go to my website, and it is just the-markcommonsense.com. Again, just the-markcommonsense.com. Scroll to the bottom. Please subscribe, share. Go to my YouTube. Go to my podcast. I am on Apple. I am on Spotify. I am on Where else am I? Truth. I am on Truth. I am on Twitter. I am on Facebook. I always make fun of that one. I am on Roomba. Oh, Roomba. I always do this. Yes, it's a vacuum cleaner. I always make fun of the, okay, Rumble. Okay, there. I said it. All right. I always make fun of it. And Jerry has fun with that. So, as always, anything else on that, Jerry? Go ahead and make fun.
Nope. No, I'm good with that. You did a good job of it yourself.
I don't know how to take that.
I think you should turn on your Roomba and clean up.
Rumble, clean up that Roomba. All right, guys, as always, I want to thank our law enforcement for everything you guys do out there. You guys are awesome. Donnie Harrison, I'm going to be talking about you tomorrow. I'm going to come up with a podcast for you tomorrow. And as always, we are going to have voting here, and it's going to be on the 17th. Do not forget to vote for many people I've mentioned over the last couple of days. And Donnie Harrison will be talking about that tomorrow. I'll put a segment from him out there. And then again, we'll see if he wants to. I know he wants to be on the show. He told me that. So I may give him a call and set that up. I actually have his number, so I can give him a call. Guys, as always, I want to thank our law enforcement again for everything you guys do. I want to thank our military for everything you guys are doing out there, especially with the crazy world and who you have to deal with up there. We know where that is. Also, I do want to thank our first responders as always for everything you guys do. You guys go through a lot out there. We know that. And our truck drivers right now, especially with diesel prices going up, guys, we are on your side. We're with you out there. I think if you get, let's just say, I think Joe Biden should step down and get out of office. I think he should just step aside and walk away from it all. It's just not working out for him. Let somebody else take over. Of course, then Harris would take over. That's another nightmare, but that's another story. Also, I do want to thank our farmers for everything you guys are doing out there. Food costs, tough right now. Things are going up. Obviously, it's time of the year where we're going to start seeing more fires, things like that. Oh, no, it's global warming. That's why. I just heard WRL, by the way, blame global warming because they had was it a nor'easter off the coast here? Guess what? It raises the tides and houses get flooded out and some houses get knocked back into the ocean. It's crazy. But this has been going on for years. The first time I saw it yesterday on the WRAL here in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I'll call them out on it. What did they say? It's global warming. That's all they could come up with. Climate change. No, rephrase that. They called it climate change. That's the new word, right? Used to be global warming. Now it's climate change. First it was going to get hot. Then it's going to get cold. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm not saying we're not messing up the planet in some ways. Of course, when you cut trees, do all this, yeah, some things happen. But replant trees, do all that, do the right things, burn it clean. We've said that before when it comes to oil. And let's produce oil in our own country, get these gas prices down the right way. And many other things when it comes to chips and variety of things. Build here in the U.S. That's what I say. All right, guys, as always, I want to thank our people that are out there actually working right now and collecting a paycheck. Great job. Keep up the good work. And I do want to say one thing. Again, what am I going to say? Thanks to God for everything he's doing right now with all this, trying to get things straight. I'm sure he's going, okay, let's get the Republicans back. No, I'm just kidding. All right, guys, as always, God bless you. God bless America, and have a great, great night. And I will talk with you tomorrow. Take care. Thanks. Bye.